First off, my first question is, how was the panel?
It was great, man. Panels are exhausting because I really want to deliver for the fans. You know, they come here, they wait in lines, they paid a lot of money, some of them flown great distances, and I remember what it's like standing in those lines quite a long time. So you want to answer questions, but you can't give things away, and you don't want people to go home unhappy. So I do my best to give them what they want and respect our need to keep things secret. And one mom sure asked me a whopper of a question today. She got me good. So I think I did my best answering her. I hope they're all satisfied with what they got to see. I think they were.
And I was reading your blog, and you were looking forward to seeing some of the people dressed up. Did you see some folks?
I have, yeah. I saw the clone troopers. Always incredible. Yeah. The detail they do. They walk right off the screen practically, those guys. So it's going to be 100 times that at Star Wars Celebration coming up. So I can't wait to see that.
So early next year, new season comes about. What can you tease about what's coming out?
Well, it's going to be dramatic. It's going to be a lot of better action than we've ever done before. Better lightsaber fights than we've ever. I think the best lightsaber fights are this season. That's something I haven't told anybody yet. So that one just you have.
Oh, thank you.
We do have the best lightsaber. The guys have just gotten so good at choreographing it, and the animators have really keyed in under Keith Kellogg, my animation supervisor, how to do it well and how to strike the poses and the pauses. So I think we have the most dynamic and very different, combinations of people fighting that make those lightsaber fights still very interesting. And a season of consequences. Big things happen, which really help you, I think, get a better picture of the whole Clone War.
There is something inherently unique in your role, because you have to come up with a direction to something that has already a very rich established characters and storylines, and you have to respect that, yet you have to bring something fresh to that.
Yeah.
So what are the unique sort of like challenges and benefits that come from that?
I think the benefit is you're working with something that's so well known that you're very certain there's going to be an audience for it. You go in knowing that that audience is going to be a very critical audience, because they have very high expectations. So artistically, it's a great environment at Lucasfilm because we're allowed to push ourselves to the extreme. We're expected to do stuff that's not mundane or ordinary or just, that was good. We need to make it great. There's a ton of material to forge through. That can be a great help, and it can be a great hindrance, because you'll get to a point in the story and you want to do something really exciting, say this makes all the sense in the world, and you'll be like, yeah, but there's this comic book from 1992, and it already said this happens, and you have to make a choice and say, are we going to stick with that, or are we going to alter that? Are we going to go with this because this makes sense with the plot, with everything we know now about Star Wars from George? Ultimately, for any of those problems, I can always just go to George.
Yeah.
And he'll say, well, we'll do it this way. That's the way I want it. And that's really a great benefit. So I have I have the ultimate guide to the galaxy in George Lucas with me to help me make sure I'm getting it right. It's fun because I always loved Star Wars, and on one level I'm playing with the grandest set of Star Wars toys imaginable. I've been there 7 years now, and I love it as much as I did the first day I walked in. And it's never boring. You get to create great things. I know a lot of fans, and I can create things I know they'll respond to directly. And I've seen the joy of creating a character like Ahsoka and seeing kids in the store buy that action figure, and it reminds me when I was a kid buying it. So you kind of pass that on, and I think the ultimate expression would be one day some kid growing up and making a new show and have some of the characters we did in it. So
that's awesome.
It all comes full circle.
So you were talking about Day One, and this is a question I like to ask people who especially have been working on a project for as long and have as much experience as you. If you had, let's say, time travel exists, there's an opportunity for you to go back and talk to yourself on day one. What would you tell yourself, knowing what you know now?
Oh, man. I would just... we were working hard, and we had a lot of circumstances in the beginning that were kind of beyond our control to try to make things the way they were, but I would tell myself to... It's strange, but to push even harder, to make it even better right from the get-go. I think the season 1 things we did with Clone Wars have had the farthest reaching impact and impression on the audience. And we kind of looked at it as, well, we're getting started and then we'll make it better as we go because we're on a tight schedule. And I would go in and caution more and say, let's get this really right. I mean, we did it well for what we could do in 2005, but I think we could have gotten it even better. I was a different kind of leader back then of all these guys and girls. I think I've come into that role better. It's always been a challenge, but I've been lucky to be surrounded by people. I don't have a lot of regrets. I think everybody's done the best they can. I would make some changes to that movie. I'll tell you, just very honestly, yeah. Really? As a director, sure, I would. I think a lot of directors feel that way. You do what you can. You have a time and a budget. And that's a thing a lot of the audience doesn't understand. You get that expression up there.
You're constrained.
And you can't always go back into that painting and change it and rework it. Now when I see it, I learned so much making that movie that I could make a way better version of that movie now. I think if I couldn't say that, that would be a failure.
Gotcha.
I think that every artist does something and then finds a greater expression of it. I think that's natural. So, I'd give my old self, some pointers on how to make some of those things a little bit better than we did. We did some really good things in that movie, but we did some things I think could be better.
All right. You would be like, I knew this technique, and here's how you should do it.
Yeah. And that's you really got to get this point needs to come across better.
Right. Yeah.
This section to the end. All the fun things that George has taught me, I'd put way more into play.
That's true. One final question. Actually, do you have a message for the fans who are awaiting season 5?
Yeah, get ready. I mean, I think it's a big season, a bold season. I think that, some of your favorite characters are going to go through a pretty intense time, but I think that is going to make the show better than it's ever been. I think it's a rewarding season, and you're really going to feel like when it's all said and done, wow, I never expected when we started this back in 2008 when they started watching it, that it was going to go here, and that's what it's all about. That's exciting.